Hello and welcome back to Monza. If you were with us yesterday for the penultimate round of the 2019 TCR Europe Series, you'll have seen an absolute thriller, maybe not the most exciting of races in terms of incidents, but certainly full of drama in terms of the story, because we have a battle for the driver's title that's gone right down to the wire. It will only be decided in this, the final race of the year. We'll tell you all about it very shortly. But this is Mark James in the commentary box for the final time this season, and I'm delighted to say that he was with us at the start of the year, and joining me for this race is none other than two-time TCR International champion Stefano Comini. You're very welcome.
Ciao, Mike. Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here in Monza, my home, and the last race for TCR Europe. It will be amazing.
You watched the race yesterday. You weren't at the track yesterday, but you watched the race.
Yeah,
your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. I was in a kart track because it was an international race in Lonato, and I was there for the academy to find some new race driver for the TCR International Series. But I looked the race per streaming with your commentary, and was amazing race. I think in term of performance, in term of story. We have 33 points now for
yes, we do
for Josh, and we will need to see what Julian will do. I think everything is open. I know that on the paper it's not like this, but the first chicane here in Monza can give us something.
Were you surprised yesterday? Because I said before the start that I expected at least one safety car because of Monza, because of the first chicane, because of all of those cars barreling down to that narrow, right-left. Were you surprised that we didn't get any safety cars yesterday?
Yeah, it was a great job about all the race drivers here. They are growing up a little bit from the first race, because we are not useful in the European Championship to see something like this. As a race like yesterday, the first corner was really proper, no crash, everybody go through, and it's not useful in TCR races. But the level of the championship is growing up extremely. Every race, I think the race drivers here are learning too, and they are a little bit more quiet.
Okay, tell us about the psychology, because we've already touched on the battle for the Drivers' Championship. 33 points separate this man, Josh Files, from Julien Brichet, who's the only man who can deny Josh the title. You've been in this position. TCR International, 2 titles, as I mentioned. What's going through their minds? Josh leading and Julien in second.
Yeah, for sure. For Josh, it's much better. And so he had some point. He's on some point on the front, as it gives you some possibility to be a little bit more calm and a little bit more focus. For sure, for Brichet, Julien, yesterday he told that on the paper the championship it's gone. But he has nothing to lose, honestly. He's in second place. He can try everything today.
But both drivers yesterday did exactly what they had to do, what they could do. Julien qualified on pole, did what he needed to do, lights to flag, defended by Aurélien Comte, and so delivered the maximum 40 points. Josh, though, from P9 on the grid, finished on the podium. So we can't take it away from him. That was another brilliant drive, and we knew that the Peugeots were always going to be difficult, so he got the best result, I think, that he could.
Yeah, Josh did an extremely good race yesterday. He was very consistent, no mistake, take maximum of point as possible, and from ninth place to third place, it's something. So it's Josh. Josh is it's like this. It's a warrior, and he never will give up. He's on the championship lead, but he will take risk, I'm sure.
Yes, I mean, we talked about the stats yesterday. This is basically what we have in store for us, 33 entries. I mentioned yesterday that if you'd seen an entry list in the week, which had 35 names on it, we lost 2 in the run-up to the event, Jolt Szabo and also Alex Morgan withdrawing before the weekend. All 33 cars that were here yesterday will be starting this final race of the season. One engine change penalty to tell you about, which will crop up in a moment. But there is Julien Brichet, look, on row 5 of the grid, started P2 yesterday, started on pole yesterday, and will start from P9 today. And right at the back of the grid, because of the engine change, is the Audi of Klim Gavrilov from Russia. And unfortunately, he appeared with us in Spa earlier in the year. This is his second appearance in 2019 TCR Europe. And unfortunately, an engine change necessary after race 1. There is Gavrilov bringing up the rear, the 33rd and final car on the grid here in Monza. Cars then underway on their green flag lap as we see Ivan Muller, team principal of M Racing, running, of course, Nathan Biel and Nelson Ponsiatisi, who started the year so strongly when you were with us last in Hungary. Seems an awfully long time ago, but here we are then for the final time this year. Green flag lap, what will happen? 33 points the gap between Josh Files and Julien Brichet. Basically, Julien has to finish in the top 2. So either has to pick up the 40 points for the win or the 35 for second, because 30 for third won't be enough. That's the position, as I say, 33 points. But the other battle that we really shouldn't dismiss is what's going to happen for third place. As you see there, only 4 points between Andreas Beckmann and Santiago Urrutia, who is also very keen to end his maiden season in TCR Europe in third place in the championship. Ponsiatisi, I've mentioned briefly, he's only, 7-8 points or so behind that battle, and also Gio Magnus in the Audi is currently in 6th place. He could potentially pull a surprise, but what is going to happen for third, and more importantly, what will happen between Josh and Julien? I did mention that if Julien finishes in the top 2, that's what he has to do, but that of course relies also on Josh failing to finish.
Exactly.
Or finishing below, I think it's 11th place. He worked out the points. So all Josh has to do is to remain ahead of Julien. He starts from P2 on the grid. There is a warning already because of oil on the grid. Due to oil on the grid, drivers on the left-hand side of the grid may line up following Marshall's instructions. So if you do see drivers out of position, or what looks like out of position on the grid because of oil left from a previous session, that's the reason.
It's very important to warm up lap, Mark, to warm up as better as possible the car with the right balance, also to warm up the rear tires. It's the hardest things to do with TCR cars in the warm up lap, and this is one of the key for the first and the second lap, to be more consistent as possible.
And also, I'm guessing, to get the nerves in check, because there's nothing worse than sitting there on the grid. At least now you're underway, you are moments away from starting the race. Here they are heading down the back straight towards the Parabolica. They will line up on the grid, and then within probably a minute or so we will be underway for this final race of the TCR Europe season. Just looking down from our commentary box, there is an empty pit lane, which is good news. Nobody will start from pit lane. 33 cars then will line up on the grid. And as the race goes on, you've already said this is your home track. You were telling me you've competed here since you were almost a young boy.
Yeah, I started here 14 years ago, something like this. It's some times ago, yeah.
Yep, so you will know better than most where the incidents will happen, where the overtaking spots will happen. Josh Files, a brilliant move yesterday on Santiago Urrutia. He saw it coming. He could see on the various laps beforehand where Urrutia was overdriving and outbraking himself, picked his moment, went through, took third. And that's what Josh was saying last night. He knew he could go no further because of the 2 Peugeots. More than happy with third place, and job done. Several drivers new to the series. We mentioned most of them yesterday. You saw very briefly Albert Legutko from Portugal. From Poland, excuse me. P-O-L, not P-O-R. And so then, 33 cars line up on the grid here at the Cathedral of Speed. There is another of the new drivers, Guilherme Salas from Brazil in the Vukovic Motorsport Renault Megane RS. The 4th driver to be in that car this year. And I suspect lots of development work going on the Megane over the winter for a competitive season in TCR Europe next year. However, it's pretty much all cars in place. There you see the oil dry down on the side of the lap.
But it's a little bit on the front, on the grid position. You see? Now it's starting.
Okay, looking for the lights going on. There they are. The revs rise. A very quick red light this time. The lights go out. Potty makes a good start, as does Files, as does Magnus from the second row of the grid. There are the 2 M Racing Hyundais. All cleanly underway. So this is where it's going to happen, I think. Turn 1, lap 1, into the chicane for the first time. Potty leads Files. From Magnus, over the curb goes several cars, including Comte, I saw in the Peugeot. There is Kangas in the West Coast Racing Volkswagen, and it looks like Tenka right at the back of the field has had a problem off the start line. But through Curva Grande for the first time, down to the second chicane, and
Josh
Files, I think, has got the line.
Yes.
Files has got the line. He knows he's ahead. The lead changes hands. And is this the moment that Josh Files finally puts a hand on that trophy? Josh Files moves into the lead
Julia
of this final race.
Julia is overtaking at the back. Yeah.
So Julian moves up places as well in the blue Peugeot 308. So Files that. Oh, and that's Andreas Beckmann going through the gravel, going between the two Lesmo corners into Lesmo 2, and just avoids the Cupra of Al Khalifi.
It was a proper prima variante. So like yesterday, no crash. This is good. Now we'll see.
Dan Lloyd just taking a look at the inside of Gilles Magnus, but thinks better of it. So then, as they head through the Ascari chicane, we've got a spinner. And that is Tufik, the Moroccan driver, the young Moroccan in the Audi. Should get underway once again then as Files heads down to the Parabolica for the first time. Gilles Magnus having slipped behind Dan Lloyd, so third place has changed hands. The flags are out at the Ascari chicane, and it's gone green again, so Tufik is underway. They cross the finish line for the first time on this race then. Just under 21 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Josh Files leads from Maxime Potti. Dan Lloyd is third. Gilles Magnus fourth. Gianni Morbidelli is fifth. Julien Brichet has moved up to sixth, ahead of Comte, Teddy Claret, Santiago Urrutia, Luca Filippi. Then it's Luca Engstler, Jimmy Claret, Mato Homola, John Filippi, and Victor Davidovski in the final of the points positions.
Julien is trying to overtake as much car as possible to go on front, but Josh really, it's going very fast, and it's already created a gap. It will be not easy for Brichet to recover all this gap.
Files already 8/10ths ahead of Dan Lloyd, who's moved up into second place. So British drivers first and second, but of course in different teams, in different cars. So what, if anything, can Dan Lloyd do to affect the point situation? As Julien Brichet, you can almost sense the frustration. Brichet is tucked up behind Gianni Morbidelli in the West Coast Volkswagen. Takes a little look between the two Lesmos. Thinks better of it. Millimeters between the two. You can almost sense the frustration.
Julien, no time to lose. We need to go in front, and yeah, it will not be easy for him.
Yeah, sure. But you can sense the frustration. Is this when mistakes happen? He pops out hard on the brakes for the left-hander. Oh, Morbidelli just slightly squirreling under braking, but Brichet moves up another place. Having started from P9, he's moved up already into P5 by passing Gianni Morbidelli.
But this is great. We have Hyundai on the front, Honda, Volkswagen, Audi, Peugeot. This is good.
Yeah, it's really good for TCR generally, but also for the championship. Gilles Magnus ahead of his teammate Maxime Potti. Oh, sorry, Gilles Magnus in the Audi ahead of the WRT Volkswagen. Now, what can Julien Brichet do? Up the inside, I think, once again. Picked his moment, but blocked by Magnus.
He will overtake Potti.
Yeah, he's got another position. Yeah. Brichet working his way through the field.
He has a good pace.
He has a good pace, but of course, whatever happens, he has to be in the top two, with Josh failing to finish for Julien to take the title.
It's motorsport. Everything can happen.
And it's also Monza. Yeah, I'm not sure about... We're looking at grid positions, but of course that information about lining up under Marshall's instructions. So even if you thought a driver was out of position, that's the moment where Josh Files takes the lead away from Maxime Potti. Files now leads Lloyd by just over 1.2 seconds. Brichet, having made up into fourth, that's the moment that Tufik spun. Very sensibly opting not to rejoin. That's another one of the brutal fish cars.
For Reba.
That's Martin Reba, the team boss, and that's one of our Russians. We've already mentioned... oh, dear.
Whoa.
Yeah, quite. We've already mentioned Gavrilov starting from the back of the grid. That's Burlutsky in the Volkswagen. So top four then, Files, Lloyd, Magnus and Brichet.
Julian is really pushing.
Really pushing. We're in for a cracking finale to TCR Europe.
Here we win the main straight. Here we have Porti and Morbidelli.
I do wonder, by the way, if Magnus jumped the start ever so slightly. Now, I'm not sure if that was spotted.
Now we will have three cars
running down the start-finish straight virtually together.
And the Peugeot at the slipstream of two cars.
But look what's happened. But Brichet's moved up another one. While we were watching that, Brichet has moved up another place by passing Magnus. So Brichet is in the podium places. Still not enough. He needs to move up at least one more place with Josh Files failing to finish. We're in for a cracking finish to TCR Europe 2019.
Clary and Filippi door-to-door. Clary will be inside also normally.
But also Matteo Homola just up behind them. Dan Lloyd right up behind Josh Files. 4/10 now between the pair.
Clary did it.
Yep, up the inside into Roger.
Oh, guys, it's not the track that.
Yeah, that's not what you should do if you miss the braking point. There is an escape road to follow. That's the moment where Julien Brichet moved up into third place by passing Magnus under braking for the first chicane. Everybody else cleanly through. I mentioned yesterday that there's a slightly different layout to the opening chicane compared to when we were here last year for the penultimate round.
We have a drive-through for car 16.
And indeed, I did wonder.
Magnus.
Oh, that's Maribo Coppens. Maribo Coppens in the Cupra, spinning at the second chicane. So we're looking down the back straight now at our race leader, Josh Files. As I mentioned, one hand on the TCR Europe trophy. Dan Lloyd in second, Julien Brichet in third, Magnus in fourth. Comte is in fifth, completely unable to help his fellow Peugeot driver, who, by the looks of things, doesn't need that much help. There's the confirmation of the jump start penalty for Magnus.
Stian Paulsen now back.
It's also good to see Stian back, one of the characters, and Magnus immediately taking his drive through.
Yeah, you can, little bit, but it's a jump
He moved, stopped. Yeah, you see it. He moved. So good spot, Phil. Thank you. By the wonders of social media, we're getting pinged with messages from all over the place saying, "Did you see that? Did you see this?" So I've not only got an extra pair of eyes alongside me in the commentary box. Oh, a little nudge there between Davidowski and Homola as Homola goes through Curva Grande.
Davidowski will be inside, but for sure Homola will not give up.
No. Oh, I don't know.
He did it.
He did it. Davidowski held the line.
He did it. Great job.
And this is at the first chicane. Poncia TC getting...
Hyundai versus Hyundai.
Yeah, now is there... there's definitely contact there.
Kissy.
Because it's the right-left at the opening chicane. But in the meantime, nothing has changed as Julien flashing his lights.
Fast. It's very fast.
Now, will Dan Lloyd support Josh Files by keeping Julien Brichet at bay? But even if Julien can get past into second place, he still needs Josh not to finish.
You can see now Josh is doing the snake on the straight. It's to avoid to take the slipstream.
He's breaking. He's breaking the slipstream for Dan Lloyd.
It's very useful in Monza because you have so long straight. It's very important to don't give your slipstream to auto cars.
Gaps there. Josh Files 6/10 just over ahead of Dan Lloyd.
Whoa, we have a lot of cars under investigation for track limits.
Yep. Taufik is under investigation for probably that incident at Ascari.
We have Jessica Beckman, right?
And one of the Claires, I think.
Yeah. Whoa, what happened, guys? The Ascari need to... Whoa.
And it was that Poncia TC, I think. Yeah.
I think he had some technical problem because
Yeah, look, he's steering, I think.
He wanted only to avoid any crash. As it's for this that he cut the Ascari for sure.
So, as you were, Files 6/10 ahead of Lloyd. The pair another 3/10 now ahead of Brichet. Look at that, Brichet closing in on Dan Lloyd. Brichet already up into third, Dan Lloyd second, but our race leader is Josh Files, who, at the risk of jinxing things, will potentially end his season with a race victory. And no further action for Taufik, we're told. So a quick decision from the stewards, whatever the investigation was. And indeed, Ponciatici is in for attention. And all the action at the rear. Let's take a breather then. Files leads from Lloyd, Brichet, Comte, Claret, Morbidelli, Potti, Urrutia, Jimmy Claret, Luca Filippi, Engstler, Davidovski, Andreas Beckmann, Dominic Baumann, and Guilherme Salas is in the final of the point-scoring positions in 15th place in the Renault. So another manufacturer, Martin Rieber, is beached. So yellow flag at turn 4.
It's not his weekend.
Well, it's not his weekend for the team. Dan Lloyd hopefully can salvage something after the disappointment of his race ending yesterday with a puncture, having all sorts of issues the previous day with gearbox issues and with another puncture. And Brutal Fish running 4 cars this weekend, which is slightly ambitious, but they are looking... Oh, a little bit of contact there. Stian just tapping BL.
Little bit.
And also going through, completely taking advantage of the situation is Josh Burden, the Australian driver in another of the Brutal Fish cars. Martin Rieber telling me before the weekend they're looking at running probably a 3rd car in next year's championship.
Mark, take a look to the drive style of Julien.
Go ahead.
Really, it's incredible. He's driving like a hell. He wants to go through. He wants to go to catch fights. He wants this victory. Look, so in Ascari, he is dancing on the curb. Really.
So he wants to end the year with a victory. Oh, a little tap.
Davidovski!
Davidovski getting it.
It's not easy to recover the car in Ascari like this.
Yeah, when it starts to get out of shape. And Paulsen taking to the escape road. Well, I'm not sure if the stewards will take a bit of a dim view of that. There is an escape road there for a reason.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Paulsen getting tapped. And so recovering rather than what I originally thought was him just cutting the chicane. So I think that's fair enough.
Look at
this.
Look at this.
But Lloyd defending, and you have to say, helping Josh Files by acting as rear gunner for Files, holding Julien Brichet up. We're under 10 minutes plus 1 lap of this final race of the season remaining. Josh Files, again, weaving to break that aerodynamic toe you were talking about, Stefano. 1.15 seconds now, clear of Dan Lloyd. Brichet all over him, wants to get past, but you have to say Brichet not only drives cleanly, but is also an old school kind of gentleman. He said yesterday that the season for him, the championship is over, Files is champion, but as you say, it would be good to end the season with a straight fight between the pair of them. Who will win this final race?
It's good for the championship, it's good for the show. Oh, now he did it!
He did it! Up the inside of Dan Lloyd under braking, he just edges Dan Lloyd out.
Wait at Lloyd? No.
Beautifully timed. Julien Brichet moves into 2nd place.
Perfect.
Now, what will happen? He will hunt down Josh Files a little.
On the back, we have a Hyundai. Go straight.
Yep.
Filippi
in the BRC car. Now, a little flash of the lights from Julien just to tell Josh that he's there. If things stay as they are, Josh Files will take the title.
Yeah, but Mark, I'm sure that Josh will not make the easy life for Julien.
This is a brilliant way of ending the season. 1st and 2nd in the Drivers' Championship, 1st and 2nd on the road, but for the sake of pride, and that's the reason that Filippi took to the escape road at the first chicane, locked up under braking, got it all squirrely, and had no real option. So Dan Lloyd back into 3rd now behind Julien Brichet as Brichet heads off in pursuit of that Hyundai that's heading up the road. Josh Files leads 9/10 of a second, the gap between Files and Brichet. Dan Lloyd 3rd, Aurélien Comte 4th, Teddy Claret 5th, Gianni Morbidelli 6th, Santiago Urrutia 7th, Maxime Potti 8th, Luca Filippi is 9th, and Jimmy Claret is 10th.
It's not easy for Julian because he started on the back, and when you start on the back and you need to recovery, you destroy a little bit your tires.
Yeah, but I said yesterday that Josh did brilliantly to come from P9 to P3. Julian has gone from P10 to P9 again because of the penalty, P9 to P2. So full marks.
But wait, Josh, it's pushing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Josh,
really pushing now.
This is all about pride now, isn't it? Now, let's keep our fingers crossed that everything remains fine, because Josh, in the situation that he's in at the moment, Josh will pick up 40 points for the win. 352 will be his total. And Julian, if he stays in second place, 314, thanks to the 35 points. And 34 is Paulsen, so shortcutting the chicane. I think actually they thought that, as I did, that he'd shortcutted it, but the replay showed that he spun.
Yeah, he spun. It's no sense.
No, he didn't get a benefit from it, but
maybe for another cut. But if it was for that one,
the problem is, of course, if he keeps going, thinking he's going to argue it out, then he's going to get black flagged. In the meantime, I mentioned Jimmy Claret was 10th. He's moved up to 9th by passing Luca Filippi. Morbidelli's got Urrutia behind him. That's the battle for 6th. And indeed, confirmation on the screen, as I was saying, 352 will be Josh. My sums did work. 314 will be Boucher if things stay as they are. Boucher, though, is in the top 2 at the moment. If anything should happen to Josh Files, and I'm saying that with everything crossed, I wouldn't wish the championship to be decided in that way. But if Josh Files fails to finish, then there is a slim hope for Julien Boucher. What a nail-biter. We didn't think it was going to get this close.
Yeah, Julien won this win, and he's here to try to do all his best to keep it. But Monza, it's a very hard track for the cars. It's a very hard track for the setup, for the maintenance of the car. It's very easy to break something here. You have the curb, you attack the curb, and it's not easy. Everything can happen, like we told before.
A little bump between Andreas Beckmann and Luca Filippi.
Gavrilov.
So after the engine change, starting from the back of the grid, disappointment for Klim Gavrilov, TCR Russia regular. And I was going to say, looking at the timing screens, that the gap between Files and Boucher is hovering around a second, but it seemed that time down to the chicane that Boucher left his braking very late. Davidovsky and Beckmann under investigation. There is Andreas Beckmann, and there is an investigation going on for the contact between the two. Also, Hommler has had a warning for track limits. So after yesterday's relatively calm, because there were plenty of incidents, no big dramas, no big accidents, and Boucher.
Okay. Boucher cut the.
Yeah, and so I'm wondering. I did say that he left his braking very, very late. Paulsen takes the drive-through, but he won't be happy with that. That, in fact, at the top of your screen. Poor old Stien.
It's not personal, it's racing.
as he says on the back of his car. So then, Boucher left his braking going into the chicane very late, too late, in fact, having to cut the chicane. The gap, though, is now 0.7 of a second between Files and Boucher. Under 4 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining. Josh Files leads from Julien Boucher, first and second in the Drivers' Championship. Dan Lloyd is third. Aurélien Comte is fourth. So 3 different car brands in the top 3 positions. Hyundai leads Peugeot, leads Honda. Morbidelli in a Volkswagen is 6th. And the first of the Audis is Santiago Urrutia in 7th. So a really good mix of brands on the leaderboard here on the final round of TCR Europe 2019. So, where are we? 3 more laps, I wonder? 4 more laps?
2.
No, they're not going to. They're lapping at 1:57. 3 laps, I would have said. And again, Stefano, again not wishing to jinx it, no safety car.
No safety car, incredible. Incredible, guys. It's
two races at
race
Monza.
of the season. They understood who to do it.
Yeah, brilliant. So you have to say well done to these guys for clean racing, no major incidents, but
it's good for motorsport, guys, because without crashing, we don't spend money in replace parts and spare parts. This is good for motorsport too. You know?
I'll tell you what else is good for motorsport. Look at the gap between the two. It's come down now to less than half a second. Josh Files leads Julien Brichet. This is all for pride.
Mark, can you sit down?
Sorry, folks. This is getting really exciting. This is something that began all the way back in April in the Hungaroring when Jean-Carl Venet and Stefano were with me in the commentary box. It's taken us from Hungaroring to Hockenheim to Spa to Oschersleben. Sorry, wrong way round. Red Bull, Oschersleben. And then 3 weeks ago, we were in Barcelona. But we are in Italy for the final round once again. Josh Files weaving to break the aerodynamic toe to not give Julien Brichet any help coming down that long back straight into the Parabolica. And there will be 2 more laps after this. The clock ticks down under a minute and a half remaining, but that will mean that Josh Files, as race leader, will cross the finish line in about a minute and 58 seconds or thereabouts to start his final lap. Let's just recap the positions for you once again then. Files, Brichet, Lloyd, Comte, Claire, Teddy, Morbidelli, Urrutia, Potti. Just breaking off to see what happens. Also, Comte is really having a look at the back of Lloyd. So Morbidelli in 6th, Urrutia 7th, Potti 8th, Jimmy Claire 9th, Andreas Beckman 10th, Dominic Baumann 11th, Luca Filippi 12th, then it's Luca Enchler 13th, Victor Davidovsky 14th, and Matto Homola now up in 15th, and Salas sadly is dropping down the order. There's a problem for the Renault, so no points finish for the Renault Megane in the final race of the season.
Lloyd, it's struggling a little bit with the tires, I think.
I think everybody's struggling with the tyres, particularly with the kind of pace, because Josh is defending. Well, Josh is hammer down, I think.
Yeah, but Josh started on the front. You know what? This is different. You can manage your tires much better, and arrive to the end of the race with a little bit more tires off the rotors for sure.
Now, you've driven along quite often here at Monza. You've driven TCR cars. You've driven using these tyres. Is tyre degradation normally an issue when it comes to the end of this lap? Because weather conditions, it's not that hot compared to how it could be.
It's definitely. It's a strange track for sure, Monza, and it's very... Whoa, Julien! Yeah, it's... no, the tires here in Monza go down quite fast.
Now there is a gap once again emerging, nearly a second between Files and Brichet as Aurélien Comte just pulls up alongside Dan Lloyd. Is third place going to change hands? Comte has to go the long way around the Parabolica, and indeed Lloyd says, nope, I'm closing the door. Third place is mine, thank you very much. I want to end the season on the podium, but Comte is not going to give up trying. And they cross the finish line for the penultimate time, 1.229 seconds, the gap between Files and Brichet. And that, I suspect, is going to be too much to make up. What will Brichet do under braking for the chicane?
Maybe Julien will do something.
One lap, probably. Oh, Lloyd is blocked up slightly, forces Comte to take the shortcut, but Comte will have to give the position back. We are on the final lap of the final race of this 2019 TCR Europe season, and if you thought this was going to be straightforward, it is anything but. First and second in the championship, there they are, a first and second on the road, and the battle for third place continues. Going up to the second chicane, Comte has the line.
It will be a penalty. If Comte will not give back the position to Lloyd, it will be a penalty for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of gave it back, but not really, if you think about it.
No, you need really to give it back.
And be seen to be giving it back. It needs to be an obvious hand back, doesn't it? Okay. 0.893 of a second now, the gap between Files and Brichet. This, the gap, the battle for third and fourth.
Yeah, we have Comte under investigation for track limits.
Yeah, so as you were saying, so down to Ascari for the final time, Josh Files and a squirrely under-braking Julien Brichet. Let's not jinx it, half a lap just under remaining. There is the back straight. There they are, coming down towards the Parabolica for the final time. Josh Files will I can almost say it, and I'm saying it with my fingers crossed. One more corner. There he goes into the parabolica for the final time. There is then the short sprint for the for the line, and the gap has moved out once again to over a second. There is the checkered flag beckoning Josh Files. The lights flash. Josh Files takes the win from Julien Brichet by 1.2 seconds. Delight at target competition. They've done the double. They'd already secured the team's title in Barcelona, and Josh Files gives them the driver's title as well, finishing ahead of Julien Brichet. My voice is starting to go. That was brilliant.
What a year, what a season.
What a finale.
Congrats, Josh, really, he did an impressive year.
Andrea Adamo wasn't with us yesterday. He's turned up in time to see his man, his driver, one of the drivers driving the 9 Hyundais here in Monza this weekend, take the driver's title, and it went literally down to the wire, down to the final race. And my fingernails are just about chewed all the way down. Look at the delight on the faces at target competition.
They deserve it. They are really on the top since the first year, and target competition, it's really the reference.
Well, I have to say, you've got experience of working with those guys.
Yeah.
You know how they work, and
I worked with them 3 years.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, you were driving, obviously, the Leon, the Cupra, back in the day, but you know the professionalism, the way the team works.
Yeah.
What will the twins, what will the Gumara twins be thinking?
I honestly, I don't know. They are really special guys, and they work very hard to give to their drivers a better car as possible every time, really able, because to win a championship, the biggest point is to have a really able car.
Now this
finish
is
as many as possible.
This is the replay of the moment that Comte going into
10-second penalty to Comte.
There you go, exactly as you said. And so Comte gets a 10-second penalty, which means that Dan Lloyd will finish third, and Comte really should have given that position back and been more obvious about it.
Here we have Andreas Bachmann on the gravel doing a little bit rallycross on the last
little
corner.
bit of rallycross. Now, just going back to what I was saying, that the Gumara twins run the target competition team. In terms of team management, you don't know how it feels yet, but as we were walking over to the commentary box, you were telling me that that is definitely on the horizon for you to move into team management.
Yeah, no, I'm working on this side because like a race driver, you don't know honestly everything that it's about the car. So this year we worked a lot like TCR Europe Academy to develop the TCR Europe Academy.
But please tell me that you've not given up driving.
Mate, it's difficult. What I know now is that I can do maybe more thing outside the car for motorsport. Maybe.
That's interesting. Okay, we'll talk about that. This is interesting. This is really nice.
But those guys really did an impressive work.
Yeah, and also they were driving side by side, kind of waving at each other, and Josh going, "1, I beat you." And I'm sure at the end, when they pull into that mini Parc Fermé under the podium, that Julien will be straight over to congratulate Josh Files. That's the really nice thing about this. This is the moment where Comte, late on the brakes, had to take to the cut through at the chicane. He really should have given that position back clearly to Dan Lloyd. Didn't do so. But that is the moment where Josh Files crossed the finish line. He must have been hugely relieved after all that pressure. What a finish to the race.
Albert, yeah, guys, you deserve it.
What a finish to the race. What a finish to the season. Josh Files, deservedly TCR Europe champion. The low point of the season for him came at Spa. You'll remember the big accident, the overnight work from the team to rebuild the car. Just 3 points from Spa. But Josh Files takes another victory, denying Julien Brichet. But you have to say, 2 brilliant drives from those two. Julien so nearly finished the season with victory.
8 overtake maneuvers.
Yes! Brilliant. Brilliant. That is,
yeah, mate, you deserve it.
Definitely championship number 4 for Josh after 2 TCR Germany and 1 TCR Middle East titles. Now, does it also mean
he's the most title winner in TCR?
Well, there are 3 drivers on 4
exactly.
championships.
With Bragin in Russia.
Bragin in Russia, and also Luca Engstler.
Yeah.
Let's have a think. Twice TCR Asia, TCR Malaysia, and Middle East. There you go. So there's 4. However, has Josh also won TCR Benelux?
Ah, yeah?
Because he's eligible because the link with Autodis.
Ah, yeah, exactly.
So they are registered for Benelux. So I've run out of bits of paper because also
yeah, he would be 5-time.
Yeah, he'd be 5-time champion because also in Benelux, you see, you drop scores. So I will only find that out after the podium. There is Dan Lloyd. Absolutely spot-on call from Stefano. As there is the congratulation.
This is good, guys.
Yeah,
for motorsport.
And
everything.
A real gentleman from Julien to come over to congratulate Josh. But you can see what that means to him. He had a disappointing season by his own standards last year. This year was all about taking the title. Let's get confirmation then of the race result. Josh taking the win from Julien by 1.223 seconds in the end. Dan Lloyd finishing on the podium thanks to that penalty for Aurélien Comte, the 10-second penalty. So Claret finishes 4th, Morbidelli 5th, Urrutia is 6th. Then after Comte, it's Jimmy Claret, Maxime Potti and Dominic Baumann completing the top 10. Also under investigation, the contact between Gianni Morbidelli and Teddy Claret in the 111 car. And points, remember, all the way down to 15th place. So Felipe Engstler, Davidovsky, Homola and Andreas Beckmann picking up points for 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. And then Salas in the Renault, Gavrilov in the Audi. Okay, let's head down to the pit lane, interrupt what I was about to say. Let's talk to our race winner and TCR Europe champion, Josh Files, is with Lisa Leyland.
Josh Files, massive congratulations. You're the 2019 TCR Europe champion, and you did it with true style with that race win. How are you feeling right now?
I don't think it's actually sunk in yet. I can't believe it, really. You know we had good pace, and starting on the front row on the reverse grid is always a little bit easier, but Julien was so fast to come from 10th to 2nd. He was putting me under huge pressure in the last few laps, and I just kept pounding away, trying to go as quickly as possible. He was definitely faster, but I managed to get the gap at the start. And I mean, I'm just over the moon. The target competition boys have worked absolute wonders this year in trying to get this car as fast as possible. And, we've been the quickest Hyundai all year, and that's all we can aim to do. And obviously, thanks to Hyundai Motorsport for building such a great car. This is just a mega season, not just for me, but for everyone. So I'm just, I couldn't be happier.
Well, coming into the final race of the year, you were the clear favourite to win, but just tell us, how were you feeling at the start of that final race?
At the start of yesterday's race, I wasn't feeling great after qualifying.
Oh, no. Not again. Same as we had yesterday.
Really important, and, you never want to leave it to the last race, and certainly we did, and it's great for the spectators, and I have to say thanks to Julien and JSP competition as well. They've pushed us all year massively hard, even right up into the last lap, so he's been a great competitor, as is everyone else. I'm just, so happy.
Enjoy your moment. Congratulations.
And once again, our apologies for the breakup in sound on that interview. We, unlike yesterday, were able to get the majority of Josh's interview, and so we can't believe it. Let's just look back at that final race and listen. And as well as the race results, this is the point situation. Files beating Brichet in the end by 38 points, but a delighted Santiago Urrutia has moved up into third position ahead of Andreas Beckmann. So there will be an awful lot of happy Uruguayan TCR Europe fans on social media at this moment, I suspect. Congratulations to Santiago and also to Aurelien Comte, despite that penalty moving up to 7th in the standings. The stats, by the way, the most successful driver of the season in terms of race wins remains Julien Brichet with 4 victories. But that win in race 2 here at Monza has lifted Josh Files to 3 victories. But it's also the consistency that Josh has displayed throughout the season. 3 wins, 2 second places, 3 thirds. And that's what gives Josh Files the title. I think they may have prepared those ready. I think we're going to get a huge cheer from Target Competition, who of course were the largest team, 5 drivers in those Hyundais, and so no surprise that they picked up the team's championship back in Barcelona. But the icing on the cake for them, and the one that they said really matters, is Josh Files taking the Drivers' Championship here in Monza. Dan Lloyd takes the 3rd place step on the podium. Another podium finish for him. There is Julien. Congratulations between the pair. But listen to this cheer.
Here it's the man.
We don't have a microphone down there, typical. Josh Files takes the top step of the podium and will receive the national anthem of Great Britain. And I'm going to take a guess, Stefano, and say that that is Andreas Gummerer that's on the podium with him.
Exactly.
It is Andreas, because the twins, virtually indistinguishable, Marcus and Andreas, who run the Target Competition team. We are the target, says the hashtag. But it's Andreas who will be taking the trophy for the highest placed team, as Josh Files lifts aloft the winner's trophy for the final race of the season here in Monza, race 2. And then tonight in downtown Monza, he will receive the trophy for the TCR Europe Drivers' Champion. And there is Andreas Gummerer moving over to celebrate with the team. And I know both of the twins do wear glasses, but Andreas tends to wear his more, so that was a guess. That was a lucky.
You know, Andreas had something in the middle of the highest. It's a little thing that you can recognize.
It's taken me long enough, but when somebody said no, they both wear glasses, but Marcus does tend to take his off. So, congratulations also to Julien Brichet and also to Dan Lloyd, 2nd and 3rd. I suspect it will be Yves Baclaine. No, maybe not.
This is the Benelux trophy.
Benelux trophy?
Yeah.
But does that mean that with the dropped scores, Josh has won Benelux? I think we're going to have to wait to find that one out. So is Josh a 4-time TCR champion, or is he a 5-time, we think? Right. We've had the photos, or have we? Nope. One more squeeze together, guys, to get the photos, and then it will be the final champagne spraying ceremony of the season.
Go with the Pommery.
The bottles of Pommery are ready,
No,
primed.
Picture.
More pictures. Congratulations to Target Competition, the double for them. That was, I think you'll agree, Stefano, a brilliant way to end the season. Thank you again for your company in the commentary box. Thank you for your company, not just here in Monza over this weekend, but for the remainder of what has been an incredible 2019 TCR Europe season. There are Josh Files and Julien Brichet congratulating each other. So, from Monza, we now head towards, hopefully, a winter of recharging our batteries. We will see you for the 2020 TCR Europe season next year. But for now, goodbye.